There are bad teams. There's a lot of them. It's not that the Bears look bad. They look broken. It's not like, oh, that wasn't their day yesterday or tough breaks. It was a total start to finish malfunction. The energy is flat. The effort is flat. The body language, it's almost offensive. Caleb is a mess. He's a mess. Nobody's open, and if they are, he misses them. It feels like a defender, if not two, has just a free sprint at him every single time he tries to pass. You watch games on Sunday, and there are teams that don't play well, and there are teams that lose. And then you watch the Bears, and you say, what the hell is this?
Kevin Byard III said at the start of this game, November football defines you. If last week the Bears were cooked, this week they are a fully burnt pizza left in the oven for way too long, stinking up the whole damn house. That was atrocious. 142 yards of offense, 3 points, and 9 sacks. You know, when the other team has more sacks than you do points, that's not great. When your team scores 3 more points than you who was sitting on the couch doing nothing, that's not great. When you can take a nap, wake up, and see that your team scored only 3 more points than you drooling in a deep Sunday nap, cozy on your couch, that's not great. They said during the game that it seemed like everything is hard for the Bears on offense. And they were not lying. The Bears are now 4-5, having lost on Sunday to the now 3-7 New England Patriots, diving deeper into the depths of football darkness. So, what did we learn about the Bears this week?
Well, we learned it can get worse. Remember last week you said it couldn't get worse? I told you it could get worse. We learned that this might be the most incompetent franchise in the NFL, and now the national audience is actually starting to catch on, right? The clip that we just heard in the beginning, that's Kyle Brandt. He has a show on the NFL Network called Good Morning Football. He's a Bears fan. I think most people that listen to the show probably know that. And that was his opening rant. And you heard it. It's offensive, right? I'm almost embarrassed that now we spend our free time on this product, right? This is what I choose to spend my time doing is lavishing in this. They might only win 4 games this year. They have 4 wins right now, which that could put them close to the number 1 overall pick again. And no franchise has ever drafted number 1 3 times in a row. So the Bears could be making history in the wrong way. But that's what I learned about the Bears. But I would like to ask Samir Patel, podcast dad, shout out.
Dad.
What did you learn about the Bears this week?
Thanks, guys. It's an honor to be on here this week, I guess, considering what we're talking about with the Bears. But yeah, I think there's always a new rock bottom for the Bears, right? And just when you think things can't get any worse, they go, hold my beer. Let me show you what I can do. Back in 2014, when we lost to the Patriots by 50 points, going to the bye week, is still in playoff contention. We're like, oh man, it can't get any worse. We got to rebound. We have to come off the bye week. Let's go play the Packers on Sunday night. And Aaron Rodgers has 48 points at halftime against us. 48-0 was the score, if you guys remember that game or choose not to remember. So yeah, there's always a lower low with the Bears, and it's almost like we should expect that at this point. People have used the term poverty franchise, minor league team. It's just the owners do not know how to run a football team, and it shows at some point in the season.
You know, as you guys both just talked about us reaching a low, there was a moment in the game yesterday that, I think for me encapsulated just how low we've reached, and JV versus varsity. It was in the third quarter. Let me see if I can find this. Fourth quarter, sorry. So Anthony Jenkins hits Caleb and knocks him down, and then he picks him up and taps him on the head. And I was like, if the other team is consoling you, man, that, clearly they don't see you as like they feel sorry for you. Like that's not what the opposing team should be doing in a competitive ass game. It was like so bad, dudes.
Yeah, they certainly lacked fire throughout the entire game, right? I mean, the coaching has been scrutinized over and over again. They just look unprepared. They look unmotivated. You know, the fire Flus chants and the loud boos came really early in yesterday's game.
Yeah, and that was some of the loudest that Soldier Field got. If you guys pay attention, but it's like we went to halftime 13-3. We get the ball, you come out, it's like, okay, let's get some energy, let's get things going. And it was a very quick 3 and out. Like I forget the exact sequence, but I think it was like short run, incomplete pass. And they get the ball within 30 seconds. And people aren't even back at their seats yet to get engaged and excited. And we're punting away. And the crowd was done after that point. The only energy came from the Fire Flus chants after that.
I mean, the unprepared thing is getting very old, right? Yes, the offensive line is banged up.
Yeah.
They're missing their 2 starting tackles. Nate Davis is like, you know,
he just doesn't want to play anymore.
He just doesn't want to play anymore. He's like, oh, what, my back? Hurt my back. Doing what, man? Eating Funyuns? Like, what are you doing? You're not doing anything. So he's out. And so the coaches knew, like, their offensive line is going to be bad today. What did you do differently to help your quarterback out? What did the quarterback do differently to help himself out? It's like they trot out these third string offensive linemen and expect to execute the exact same game plan. They don't know how to adapt. Make some quick throws, you know, have some more running plays that maybe run to a strength that you have. Once Tevin Jenkins went down, you bring in Kramer, who's very undersized. He can't run block at all, but you put him in at guard. You know, I know your options are limited, but it looked like Shane Waldron had slow developing routes again, and Caleb couldn't find anybody open, and you know he's just scared to take risks because Flus has coached the Caleb out of Caleb. So I don't know, Sagar, if that's what you saw.
Yeah, I saw that, and actually came up in the pregame when Poles was interviewed by Joniak. It looks really bad now, but he was bragging about how proud he was of the O-line depth, saying he was really proud of his staff for putting together, you know, an O-line room that can roll with these injuries and prop people out there. So it's a little combination of hubris and just not understanding your staff, right? Going from the GM down to the coaches, they think they could put in these backups and run the exact same offensive plan without any issues. They had, I think, one rollout that actually went for like 12 some odd yards to Rome. And then that's it. They did it once they abandoned it. And even the commentators were calling out like, this worked. And some of these other quick throws, we had one drive in the second quarter, I think, that had like 2 quick passes that went for first downs each. And then they don't go back to it. And it's really confusing in terms of like how they're managing the personnel that they have in the game and what plays they're calling with them.
There was the announcers were in mid saying this is working, and then I think Caleb held the ball for a really long time and it like ended up nowhere. You know what's so frustrating about the game? So they said the every team has scored first against the Bears, and we chose to elect to kick the ball. So that's like I'm getting this feeling like the Bears don't care about scoring the football. That's like what it starts to feel like on offense. Like they don't care about that part of the game, which is crazy because that's an important
Matt
part.
Eberflus that's how he operates. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say, he's a defensive minded coach who wants to get his best unit out there first, get a quick 3 and out, which it worked, and then we got the ball at the 50. And it's so weird if you think about it. We had the ball close to the 50 a couple of times in the first quarter.
Like
didn't even get a field goal
drives.
Didn't even get a field goal attempt out of it. Just nothing.
It's just bad coaching, right? How many pre-snap penalties did they have? You know, false starts and illegal formations and
every game.
Every game. Every game.
And then we're not good enough to have everybody do their job on consecutive plays, right? It's either a false start or an O-lineman misses an assignment. A wide receiver doesn't get open or drops a pass, or Caleb holds onto the ball and takes a sack, taking us out of field goal range, which happened a couple of times. And so we need like 4 or 5 different things to go right on every play, multiple plays in a row to score. And we're just not good enough for that to happen. Like if you start like running the odds on everything, the math isn't in our favor. We're just...
I just love their bread and butter play, right? Which Chirag alluded to is the wide receiver screen, which has never worked, but they still decide it's their bread and butter play. And without fail, every single time, either a wide receiver or a tight end or running back has no idea who they're supposed to block, and then the guy just gets a free tackle. Literally everything. It's like they never practice that play, but that's their
Keenan
go-to.
Allen Gerald ever cannot block. Like, I know Darnell Mooney didn't have a good season last year, but that guy can block on the end.
So yeah, the DJ one, I'm watching him run from the left to the right. I'm like, it's a screen, and then they threw a screen, and he got tackled like 6 yards behind the line.
Yeah, Keenan just kind of like stood there. He's like, I don't really know what's happening.
I'm too old for.
Is Keenan Allen? Was he known as like a good blocker?
No, literally,
Not really.
literally everything that he was good at, they don't ask him to do. You know,
We did. There was a couple of plays where we actually used him properly. It's like run out 8 to 12 yards, turn around or turn right, and we'll throw you the ball. And we did that a couple of times. Then never went back
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, he's a good route runner. He's good at moving the chains on your third and shorts, third and mediums. He's very precise. He can win inside on a slant, but instead we have him running vertical routes, and he's just very slow and can't separate like that anymore.
He was never a vertical route receiver.
Yeah, so it's not great.
I would love for the Bears to just like be like, for the rest of the season, we're just not going to do screens. Like, we've seen enough that it's not working. Or like at the end of the season after like it just, yeah, they just continue to like, you talked about them coaching the Caleb out of Caleb. It's like you're doing things that are like almost actively harming you, and you're not listening or watching what's happening.
Just like look at I think that Colts game was really it, right? Like he played way differently in that Colts game than he has like after that. I know he had some good games and pieced together some good games against most notably the Panthers and Jaguars, but that Colts game he was slinging it. Yeah, he had a bad pick. Yeah, maybe the second pick like bounced off a roam or whatever, but he was rolling out and he was slinging it. That's a totally different player than what we're seeing now, right now. Right now you're seeing a guy who looks like he's being coached to not turn it over, right? He takes a sack, he throws it way out of bounds or throws it at somebody's feet. He's not giving his guys a chance to make 50-50 catches. And I think that's a direct result of Flus being like, Flus has gone on the record saying 200, the 222 club or something like that, 200 yards and then 2 touchdowns. 220, sorry, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. That's a perfect stat line for a quarterback. And that's what he's trying to get Caleb to do. And that's not successful.
Yeah, well, so small silver line. He's actually doing one of those. He hasn't had a turnover since that underthrown ball to DJ in the Jaguars game. And yeah, it's like you kind of have to let him be a little bit risky, right? He's a rookie quarterback. You got to let him throw those picks. I mean, it's been a while, but Peyton Manning infamously has the rookie interception record. But he's got to learn how to read these NFL defenses and what throws he can and can't make, and it's going to come with some mistakes. And I think the problem is that the Bears are in a situation where they could potentially, we thought that they had the talent to win this season, and obviously it's looking like they don't, but that makes him be, more cautious, and he's getting coached to do that.
Well, yeah. And that's why they should move on from Eberflus sooner rather than later before they really just destroy who this kid is supposed to be. Right. And they're not going to do that this season. And I think I don't know, man. I've always been a Poles defender, but this is at his feet now. Like, he chose Flus at least once last year. Not sure if he chose him the first time around. It's like mixed reports on that. I'm not really sure. Because I know, the Bears brass they interviewed coaches first and then gave Poles a short list of coaches that they'd interviewed and said, pick one of these guys. And we're not really sure how much influence he had into that. But this last one's on him, man. There's some good candidates out there. And he chose to ride with this guy who has no redeeming qualities at this point.
Yeah, there's no history of a coach starting off this bad in terms of his record and then turning it around at some point. It doesn't happen in the NFL. Like, we have to move on from this whole regime sooner rather than later, potentially even polls too, just because nothing is going right now. And it definitely starts at the top, and you have to go as high as you can and nip this in the bud and then rebuild from there. Because otherwise, you're going to ruin this rookie quarterback. And, it's still a relatively young core if you think about where our, key assets are in various skill positions, right? Like, Moore's on his early on to his second big contract. Rome is a rookie. Komet's still entering his prime. We got playmakers on defense who are still relatively young, especially in our secondary. And then some of our D-line still pretty young. So, if we can get the right GM, right coach in here, we can turn this around quickly. But then again, we are the Bears, so we probably won't.
Talk to me about the press conference that happened today. I guess Monday. You'll be listening to this on Tuesday. Quick little summary. I think yeah, I think people were expecting firing, hoping firing, kind of knowing the Bears don't fire. What did you guys sort of take away from the press conference is it just primarily, I guess, what the stuff Eberflus said today?
Yeah, so there was a lot of word salad, nothing really to report on other than Caleb's not going to get benched. He's going to be the starter. That was really the only definitive thing they said. They said they were going to, they're in the evaluation process of making changes to their play calling. So I'm pretty sure that Waldron's either out or, going to be demoted. It doesn't make sense to demote him, just fire the guy. And then more than likely, Thomas Brown will be taking over play calling duties. He's the passing game coordinator right now, and he's the only other staff member that's had play calling experience on the Bears. So it kind of makes sense to have him take over play calling duties. That's my guess. Obviously, Flus is still around, and that's probably the only change right now.
Yeah. Just adding on something you had said, Thomas Brown most recently called plays for the Panthers last year. For what it's worth, they also finished with the worst record in the league. So I don't know if that's necessarily going to be an improvement, but I think just a change is needed, right? It could be somebody called the exact same plays, but I think you could tell from the way the Bears, just the way they look on the field, they're not excited about these plays, and some of the route concepts don't really make sense. I think getting somebody new in there would help. The problem is, they're talking about this on Hogan John's podcast today. It's where the pregame, the upcoming week installs start coming in on Tuesday, so they have to make a decision pretty quickly. And they've given some examples about how Flus is just a day or two late on some of these decisions that impact things downstream, right? Like,
but you don't think they've already made that decision, and they're just don't want to say it publicly because they're the Bears? Don't you feel like they've already made that decision?
I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Fair enough.
So,
yeah.
I honestly think that they're still working through it, and everybody's in CYA mode, right? So Flus is trying to figure out a way to separate himself from this offensive coordinator he chose less than 8 football weeks ago, and now he's trying to get rid of him while still making himself look good. So he has to massage this to still try to make himself the coach next year, which is a very tight rope to walk.
It's hard. He's had a lot of coaches dismissed already in his short 2.5-year tenure, right?
Yeah.
So why
coach
should he get to
made
pick
it
on
2 games into a season, then got potentially arrested? Who knows what happened there?
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay. So as we kind of wrap up everything that has happened in the last, I don't know, was it 48 hours? Just the chaos that has been the last 2 days of Bears football. Any sort of final thoughts, takeaways? Maybe go with what is something that you all liked that you saw on either side of the ball in that game?
Well, everybody clowned Poles for drafting a punter in the 4th round, but that dude is legit an important part of our team. He is punting a lot, and he actually has more punting yards than Caleb has passing yards. So kind of ironic that Caleb had told him you won't be punting a lot this season. It's like, bro, I'm punting more than you're passing. So
You're talking about total yards for the season?
Yeah. Torrey has 2,153 yards punting. Caleb has 2,021 yards passing on the season. So shout out to Neil for that stat. So yeah, good on that. I don't know, man. Nothing's really going to change. Because we got like George McCaskey, or I like to call him Ned Flanders, kind of at the top running this thing, and he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just like shucksing his way to another season. He's like, we don't fire people mid-season. That's not what we do. Yeah, well, you also have lost for 40 straight years. It's also
we haven't won a playoff game since he took over.
Correct.
Because he took over after that 2010 run.
11 years ago, I think he took over, something like that. And yeah, the Bears haven't won a single playoff game since then. So look in the mirror, George. Figure it out. And sorry, I know I'm taking a lot of time. This is just very upset. The most upsetting thing to me about this is that this is an unserious franchise that we unfortunately take very seriously. And I think that's where That's what's the most painful, is that we take it so seriously and they clearly do not. All right, that's all I got.
Yeah, no, to that, you can feel the pain in like just these group chats in yourself. Like it's like people are like, it is just football, it's whatever, but like people are like hurting. And like it's just like we want you to just like try, bro. We just want you to look like you're trying, team. Man. Okay, Sagar, what is something positive or last final thought from this game that you would like that you have?
I think I don't think we're going to win a game till September. If you look at our schedule, we're going to get crushed in the division. Our only chance is playing Seattle the day after Christmas because they have to fly west to east on Christmas Day, and that may be a small Christmas gift we get, but otherwise we're not going to be close in any of the games the rest of the season.
Is there a rest factor for a team at the end of the season that could be clinched it and resting guys that we could get a W out of?
Don't we end with?
Go ahead.
But the problem is we end with division games with the new schedule setup. I forget who it is, but our division's so tough. Everybody's gonna be jockeying for position, so I doubt we're gonna run into a rest situation.
Watch the Bears' second round pick be higher than the Panthers.
Oh my God, that'd be the ultimate one's cap.
Okay, so
start looking up O-linemen right now, people. We get 3 in the top 35.
Bears got the Packers next week. What are some things to look out for? We'll go to
the line is 6.5. I would jump on that. The Packers are favored by 6.5. They're coming off a bye. LaFleur is going to absolutely pants loose. It's not going to be close. I would take the 6.5. Other than that, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Thomas Brown is calling the plays, see if they have different concepts than what Waldron's doing. I don't know. I don't know what else there really is to look forward to.
I would take the time and try to enjoy good quarterback play from Jordan Love, maybe.
Even that's questionable. Shucks it up. At least it's exciting. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
more exciting than Caleb getting sacked or, throwing it out of bounds.
Yeah, a lot of positivity going into this week. It'd be interesting to. I think it'd be cool. I don't know if we talked about this on the pod last time, but we should probably do a pulse of the people every week because it's like so drastic how 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, however many weeks it's been, how much the tune has changed. It's just crazy. This shit's a roller coaster, man.
Yeah, that Jacksonville game seems really, really long ago.
Yeah, it really does. Well, Podcast Dad, thank you so much for being a part
thanks for having me on. It was
today's
fun.
episode. Well done, sir. For Podcast Dad, Samir Patel, and Chirag Rathod, we are the Bears in the neighborhood. We will catch y'all next week.